talking about today, Keisha?
So I was having a conversation with a gentleman who I guess had been dating a few ladies, and he said women today are so caught up in their careers or chasing the bag that they don't know how to have a relationship or how to cater to their relationships with their men. And we thought, that is a good one. We coming to y'all, let's talk people. We coming to y'all. What are your thoughts on that, Stacey?
Okay, so he said that women are focusing more on their career or getting to the bag than their men. Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, I can see how that's possible. Okay. Especially if you were so, career driven for such a long time and you were, focused and trying to reach a certain level in your career. Goal-oriented. Yeah, very goal oriented. You try to follow the path and all of that and do what you have to do. And so yeah, I can see it. However, you have to find that balance, ultimately where you can still be a career woman and be happy and satisfied in that, but then also make sure that your mate and your partner is satisfied in the relationship. But naturally, just with anything, sometimes we get off balance where we're more focused on one thing than something else. So I hear him when he says that, but I don't think it's all women. I think, you have to just be mindful of it when it happens.
Yeah, I don't think it's all women. I think that it is more common for it to be a man, and people have accepted it, right? Mm-hmm. But I do believe that women nowadays are kind of more like, I'm going after getting the bag. I'm going after me. I'm going to make sure I'm set up, I'm secure, I have that bag, and then I'll find somebody, or then I can focus on this relationship here, because women do want to achieve the goals that they set out for themselves, and they are trying hard to do that. So I kind of agreed with him. It made me think and question a few things, because I started to ask myself, do I put my career before I put my spouse? There are times that I do, and so it just kind of made me step back a little bit to evaluate like what's important for me, because everybody has things that are important for them. If your career is what's most important for you, then who am I to tell you don't go get your bag? But for me, I tend to say I'm more family oriented, and so it made me kind of sit back, think, and question, okay, am I putting more energy into achieving those goals versus maintaining my family structure, maintaining, my man, making sure he happy, satisfied, whatever you like to say. That.
Well, I think my light bulb came on after having children, being in a relationship. I'm like, okay, you work, I work, we do whatever, and I still found somewhat of a balance, but I was like on it, work, driving here, there, everywhere, very much so fast paced. But after I had children, they will slow you down just naturally. And I wanted to be in my children's life. I always wanted to be a part of everything that was happening, So I think after having children, that really slowed me down into, focusing and spending more time with the family and all of that. But I guess his original question was, that's all gravy with the kids and stuff, but what about the men? Yeah. Do we find that the men are lacking as a result of women chasing the bag? And I can say that does happen sometimes, especially if you come from poverty. Poverty is extremely traumatic, and no one wants to revisit a traumatizing part of their lives. I never want to be poor, again. Although I didn't feel listen, we didn't feel poor, we were on government assistance, and they made that stretch and all of that, had clean clothes, and it's still levels of poverty. However, I don't want to go back to that. I don't want my children to go through that. So if I have to work a little bit more, then I'm going to do that. However, I do understand the importance of self-care. I understand that, okay, I have to adjust my schedule so that I can fit other people in and pull back from just always trying to chase the bag. Right. And then you have to ask yourself, even at a certain point, like, okay, is this bag even worth chasing? Because I'm tired all the time. I can't deal with my kids half of the time. You know, my husband, they tapping you on the shoulder and you rolling over to the other side because you're sleepy. So you have to really reevaluate what is this bag that I'm chasing and what is it worth.
And like you said, you mentioned self-care. You also have to care for that relationship. You can't expect a relationship to grow if you're not feeding it and caring for it. So the same way you have time of self-care, you have to have time with your relationship with your spouse to care for them, to make it grow, to bring you two together. And I do think we've lost a lot of that lately because we're all out. The man's out trying to get the bag. The woman's out trying to get the bag. We all trying to achieve this status and this level in life instead of sometimes stepping back to say, you know what? We're comfortable. Let me take care of you the same way I want you to take care of me. The same way I don't want you at work all the time consistently. I know your spouse doesn't want you at work. And so you have to have that open room of communication and be willing to hear what your partner has to say. Hey, do you think I'm working too much? Do you think I'm constantly not here? Do you not get enough attention? Because like you pointed out, when you have children, now I'm focused on, okay, these kids ate, they did this, they did that. But how are you? How are we in our relationship? And that's where I think the lack of communication comes from, where maybe this person was saying that person was out trying to chase the bag and doing all this stuff, but they're not communicating with each other to say, you know what? I'm feeling like I haven't spent any time with you and I need some time with you.
But sometimes you have to really pay attention to the cues. Sometimes that is being said, but we're not trying to hear it. Us as man or woman, whatever. Sometimes your partner is telling you what they need and telling you what they're experiencing, but it's like, okay, I'll deal with that later, or you know, you just brush it off thinking that it's not as important. You're probably thinking it's silly, you know, because I have to get this thing done by the deadline or else I'm going to get fired. And you're like, okay, let me just try to get this thing done, then I'll deal with it later on. But your partner is like saying, no, I need you like right now. So it's important to pay attention to the cues, hear what your partner is saying, and try to be able to either compromise, fulfill it, work it out, you know, or schedule time or date for you to really disconnect from the bag. Disconnected from the bag so you can really focus on your spouse.
And like Stacey said, spending time with that partner so you can identify when those cues are very important and you start to hear them. Because everyone wants to be heard in a relationship.
That's right.
And it's important not only that you hear your partner and your partner hears you. So just taking that time, and sometimes it's refreshing when you get to spend time with that partner away from the kids, away from everyone else. You start to really understand them more. They understand you. And that's when you become keen to something is off here. I think my man needs to spend some time with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so we have to not be so caught up in what's going on around us. And as she said, take time to self-care for ourselves, but also time to care for the relationship that we want to have.
Now, ladies, I'm a proponent of having your own. Not to necessarily mean that, you know, you have to just disown your spouse and not listen to them about finances and just hide from them. But I think having your own actually helps build your self-esteem. You know, when you feel like, wow, you know, I've worked for this, that I did what I had to do in order to attain these certain things, that I met these certain goals, it really helps make you feel good. So if you're in a position where, you know, you can still catch the bag and feel good about it, and for it to not to necessarily hinder your relationship, I think that's the best place to be, because it's important for us to feel good, because if the woman ain't good, the house ain't gonna be good, honestly.
That's true. That's true. You know what, Stace? I'm all for getting your own bag, but if he got a bag and I can stay home and get his, I'm gonna stay home and get his.
But even with that, no, I don't mind. I'm not stay at home. Even with that, I think it's important to still have something. Even if he's giving you an allowance or he's taking care of you, you're like, hey, listen, if he's giving you some money, you take a percentage of that and you put it away for a rainy day. You want to make sure that you're straight in the end. So you're never just out here in these streets and just
I agree. Okay.
Hands up.
I agree.
Like,
now I'm
no.
making a joke,
Mhm.
but I do think it's important for you to have something, whether you can do it from home. I think it's beneficial to people when they can work from home and work independently, and they have a flexible schedule, and they're not relying on someone else's schedule to dictate what they can do, when they can do it, how they can do it with their family. That's very important. But
the Proverbs 31 woman, she, you know, according to the Bible, she had it all. She had her business, she ran her business, she took care of her family, she took care of her husband, she took care of, you know, just everything that she had to do. And everything was fine, copacetic. So I don't see why can't we have it all? Why can't we have the bag, the man, the family, you know, a good, decent life? Why can't we have it? Why is it always, and why does the woman have to be the one to sacrifice? Oh, you have to, you know, pull back on certain things. Well, you also can pull back on certain things as well to contribute to this family as, you know, as well. So
yeah, I think that's where the communication comes in. There is a double standard though. It is a big double standard. I would say like it's a double standard because for one, I do want to be the one that more caring and nurturing person at home with my kids and taking time with my spouse. I do. I think you can have it all, but I think something has to, like, you have to give up a little, and if both persons can give up a little, it would be beneficial.
But they make you feel, society, once again, they, whoever they are, it makes you feel like you can have all or none. Like, it's never like you can have both. It's like, you know, you can either have the bag and go full throttle there, or you ain't gonna have nothing at all. You know, no man, because you focus too much on your career, you know, or it's like you can,
and I think here's
have
why,
a man with no career.
Here's why. Because most goal-oriented, go-getter people that's out getting the bag, when you're developing or a business or you're trying to move to the next level, you have to invest a lot, right?
And sacrifice,
and you have to sacrifice a lot, right? And so it's one thing to do that, let's say when it's just me and you, like you said, and we're two single people. It's another thing to do that when there are little kids involved. You know, because now you can't be pursuing yours full throttle and I'm pursuing mine full throttle because this right here is left alone. And it is looked at as the woman should be the one to kind of take care of the home.
This right here.
This right here. This right here. We got to take care of it. I'm a little old school, so I, for one, do feel like I don't want to be the one out there at night getting it and the man home with my kids. That's not my cup of tea. I want to be the one home, making sure my kid's in the bed and all this stuff, and he come home, I'm looking and smelling nice for him. You know, I think I can do that and still work, but I also know that I can't be that wife to work 80 hours a week. That's not, no, I can't do that. Not trying to pursue something. And it's a very difficult space. I remember someone said to me, that they knew a person, and the person worked in the school system, and they said the person was trying so desperately to move up the ladder, and they was like, every person they saw that got it was at a school that I worked at, every woman principal they saw that came in there always lost their husband. And I was like, what? And they were saying, because you know how much work it takes. Like, your husband has to be team you to understand how much time, how much things that you invest in working here and getting this. Because people don't realize when you're like a principal at a school, you're running like a little business, right?
You're captain of the
and
ship.
I was like, what?
Wow.
And so we were having a conversation about people's desires to move up and so on. The woman said, so the question I would ask is, what are you willing to lose to get this? Because most women that get to that space always end up losing something. And I kind of paused for a moment because it made me think like, wow. As a woman, you have to kind of say, what are you willing? Is it fair? No. Does it happen to all women? No. But you also have to have the right partner to know what your goals are, and they are on board with you to work for those goals. You understand what I'm saying? Because you can't get someone who doesn't want that in their life and wants a person that's home by a certain time and all of this stuff because they're not with that. So I think again, for me, it goes back to communication, hearing your partner, knowing you guys are on the same track for your lives. Because sometimes I may elevate here and you're still here. We have to make sure we're right here together.
Yeah.
So we're walking together, we're growing together, and our family is prospering and growing together as well. That's my stance on it.
So overall, ladies, you know, because we talking to y'all since we the ones that gotta sacrifice everything anyway.
Why you say that with the love?
Since we the sacrificers, we Jesus around here. We sacrifice our body, our time, our efforts to save the world. But we are super women also. You know, once again, have that conversation with your spouse. Better early than, you know, later. See what works for you. Try to find some balance, self-care.
And be willing to listen.
Be willing to listen, be
And
willing
hear
to
what they
make
have to say.
compromises, you know, self-care for yourself, self-care, you know, for the relationship, for your family as a whole, your household. But you have to be satisfied with whatever decision that you make
Yes, you
and be
do.
okay with it, and be able to sleep well at night as
Yeah.
a result of it. If you're going to chase the bag, there's some sacrifices to that. If you're just going to focus solely on your family,
There's
there's
some
some sacrifices
sacrifices
to
to
that.
that.
I would say find something in the middle where you can still, you know, get a source of income, feel like you're fulfilled and really contributing to society, but also being able to really focus on your family and, you know, rearing any children, etc.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll leave it there. Let us know what you think. You know, do you agree with my point of view, Keisha's point of view?
Or somewhere in between.
Dude's point of view, yeah, or you have your own point of view. But leave it down in the comment section. We'll be so happy to hear from you all.
Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe on YouTube and subscribe on our Instagram and TikTok channel.
Yes.
Let's Talk La Vie, LAVIE. We hope to see you again soon.
On Let's Talk. Bye. Okay, what's it called? Ladies, you know, I am a very, you know, big proponent of women getting their own money. You know, I don't think that you should be 100% solely help me out, solely
Relying
or dependent on a man. I do believe that, you know, even if it's a little part-time thing, you doing hair, you selling eyelashes.
You doing whatever you doing, right?
You do whatever you're doing so that you can bring in some income, because